Cheers. To quote the great Michael Scott, "It takes a big man to admit his mistakes. And I am that big man. I was wrong about Pissgrave."
Whoa, hold on, wait a minute. The pussy poser Meltdown is wrong about something? Pfft. Who'da thunk, am I right? What next? Grass is green, water is wet, the sky is blue, beer is good, my dick is hard?
Pissgrave is an American death metal crew hailing from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the city of brotherly love. How ironic, considering the subject matter and artwork and photography used on the album artworks and such. They formed in 2013, they released their self-titled debut in 2014, and a debut full-length studio album, Suicide Euphoria, in 2015. That being said, I came to know of Pissgrave in 2019 via the release of their sophomore studio album, Posthumous Humiliation, which at the time I dismissed as being overrated, overhyped, noisy for the sake of being noisy, gory and brutal for the sake of being brutal. I thought it was mindless and repetitive and one-dimensional, and in the years following I have argued that if it wasn't for the shock factor of Pissgrave using actual real-life, straight-up gore and just explicit, violent, gross, disgusting imagery in album artwork and shit like that, they would have gotten nowhere. At bare minimum, they would not have been elevated to the level in which they've been elevated to today. And for the record, there's a part of me that still kind of agrees with that, or maybe more appropriately understands why those arguments would still be made. Pissgrave aren't making the most technical, avant-garde, progressive, mind-blowing, revolutionary stuff. It's filthy, gory, violent death metal. It's fair to argue that there are influences from gore grind and war metal and shit like that, but nevertheless, death metal. They are not seeking mainstream commercial success or a Billboard Music Award or a Grammy Award or a Pulitzer, God forbid. They're not interested in being the best, biggest, new, craziest thing in death metal. They want to write crazy, stupid riffs and have crazy, stupid imagery, and I didn't fuck with it in 2019, and I think in retrospect, that came from not having an understanding as to what, really brutal death metal was really about. At that time, we were still in what I refer to as, the dark ages of the metal meltdown, where, I'm younger, and I'm full of shit, and I'm an idiot, and I'm saying stupid stuff all the goddamn time. I still am to a certain extent. I mean, for God's sakes, it's me. A channel called The Metal Meltdown is still gonna say some stupid shit from time to time. But, also, it's different now. I'm different now. The Metal Meltdown is different now. This is a legitimate music commentary review channel. We do interviews and crazy live streams and such. I've grown a lot as a human being, as a person, and yeah. So, fuck, where was I going with this? I may or may not have done a few different takes with the whiskey, and I think that's starting to show right now. I'm good. No, I'm not crazy fucked up, but I'm just fucked up enough where it's whoa, don't put me in charge of anything important right now. This is really good fucking whiskey though. This is Wolfhead Distillery. They're a Canadian distillery. It says cinnamon flavored. Anna bought it because she loves Fireball and shit like that. This shit just straight up tastes like maple syrup. I love this. I unironically want to make pancakes with this now. Oh, that'd be delicious. Do buttermilk pancakes, and I can make an apple compote, and I can fucking throw this in there. I could do a stuffed French toast, come to think of it. Ooh, I like this idea. Holy shit, not only am I really off topic, but this is dangerously close to turning into an episode of Uncle Melty's Kitchen. Look, here's the thing. Bottom line, I was wrong. I was looking for something deeper and something more different from Pissgrave in 2019, and that's not what Pissgrave is or is trying to be. Pissgrave is trying to be Pissgrave, and while I'm still not convinced it's perfect or at the same level of awesomeness that some would suggest, I understand that. I understand now what they're trying to do, and I do fuck with it a little bit more in 2025 than I do in 2019. Let's focus on the positives. Let's focus on why I was wrong. Let's focus on what elements about this album convinced me that maybe I was a little bit wrong about Pissgrave. Just like a little bit. That's all. Just a little bit. You know, it happens. Time to time. No one's perfect. For one, these are legitimately some pretty semi-sick and solid riffs all throughout. Like, goddamn, visceral, bloodthirsty, unrelenting, punishing, brutal as all holy hell. Like Heaping Pile of Electrified Gore, for instance, has these really groovy, robust, dynamic, epic, like, metal riffs right in the very beginning before transitioning into some more carnivorous death metal and death grind. Very in your face, very mean, very sick, very cool. In Heretic Blood Christened is a full-blown assault of death metal, menacey, raging, rampaging, frantic riffs all over the place here, chaotic and noisy and very abrasive. Then there's Interment Orgy, which uses very fast-paced, semi-repetitive but still effective riffage alongside pummeling beats to create pretty towering riffs and structures. And the very appropriately titled Lamentation of Weeping Wounds has these like anguished, agonizing, drawn-out sections that have fast-paced riffing, sure, but like are spread out across these like slower, kind of like more mid-paced, grueling sections where it really does feel like I've got a gruesome wound and I'm like really focusing on it. Like I remember going hiking in Quebec many years ago and like falling down and splitting my fucking leg open, and like unironically, the image and sensation of that fits this song quite nicely. And I'm not gonna lie, hearing some more jagged, almost Gorgutsian kind of riffage in Dissident Amputator as well caught me off guard. I fuck with it. I like it. Now that said, are there still some issues? Yes. And simultaneous to that, do some of my previous criticisms of Pissgrave still hold true? Also, yes. Like there are multiple moments across multiple sections on this album where Pissgrave and whoever the fuck is working on this thing behind the scenes on that fucking mixing board, they said, fuck it. Fuck Mr. Meltdown's ears. He doesn't need them. Let's turn that noise shit. Let's fucking cake this bitch in static. Let's turn this up to 11. Mystical Obscenities. For the most part, a pretty solid kind of like death metal gore grind cut. In its final moments, just turns into blistering, agonizing, annoying noise, ringing in my fucking ears. I also don't see or hear anything that proves that my argument that Pissgrave being as popular as they are has to do with the shock factor, the imagery of the band, is not true. Not only are hyper-graphic, violent, disgusting depictions of gore prevalent throughout the album in its lyricism, but the album cover is literally what looks like maybe a human skull or something, just like covered to fucking bits in maggots. I mean, to a certain extent, this is normal of death metal, even the most mainstream death metal. I mean, Cannibal Corpse on fucking Tomb of the Mutilated have, like, zombies eating each other out, like starved, dehydrated corpses eating fucking pussy. I recognize that at a certain point, this is just kind of how the genre works. And, like, that's arguably on the more cartoony side of things. Like, Carcass, one of my all-time favorite bands. Their debut album, Reek of Putrefaction. The album cover is essentially a montage of, like, dead bodies and, like, decomposed body parts that Jeff Walker had, like, taken from his sister's, like, medical journal. I can't remember if she was studying to be a nurse or a doctor. She was, in some capacity, she had access to these notes because of her education, these photos because of her education. He took them and he made that album artwork. And like Mayhem straight the fuck up had the aftermath of Dead very literally blowing his brains out on the fucking cover of a very fucking infamous EP. God fucking damn. So, like, yeah, it is very much shock factor. It is very much style over substance, or more appropriately, shock over substance. But, like, that's also just kind of how this genre works, to an extent. So be it, I guess. Like, it is what it is. I don't have to like it, but that doesn't change the fact that it is what it is. So be it. The riffs do be riffin'. That is what matters. But hey, you know what else matters? The fucking vocals. And this is a legit criticism of this album and of Pissgrave that I genuinely feel genuinely holds the fuck up. This motherfucker, or these motherfuckers, this is some Donald Duck shit. Straight the goddamn fuck up. All throughout the album, I'm hearing these squeaking, nasally, shrill screams, and like, it literally sounds like if Donald Duck of Disney fucking fame decided to do a fucking gore grind brutal death metal record. Now, to be entirely fair to Pissgrave, I will note that as the album continued, this bothered me less and less, and at a certain point, I felt like it did kind of complement the noisy, chaotic, kind of like death metal, gore grind kind of vibe that they were going for. But nevertheless, it does honestly, occasionally, especially in the very beginning, just sound like Donald Duck death grind. Straight up. I feel like this criticism genuinely holds up, even despite me having had a lot of whiskey. But I concede, gross, moldy, mutated warts and all, I did actually kind of enjoy this record. It is by no means the best death metal record of 2025 so far, and it definitely won't win any awards anytime soon, but it is everything that it is trying to be. It is everything that I think people want from a Pissgrave record. Those riffs do be riffing, and I did enjoy myself. I especially like that it wasn't like a super long record. Although the only other thing I can say on that note is that some of the songs themselves could be a little bit shorter. I do find that some of this more hyper extreme, gory kind of death underground extreme metal stuff just fares better when it's delivered in a shorter span of time. But again, the album itself is pretty short, wraps up in like roughly half an hour, 31 minutes, give or take. I'm feeling a fairly enthusiastic 3 out of 5, and I concede once again that I was wrong about Pissgrave. Mostly. If you just want to hear some sick, slimy, stupid shit, if you love gore grind, death grind, brutal death metal, and you love chaotic, noisy crap, boom, you're probably gonna love this. I don't know what else to say, man. I was genuinely dreading this album because I thought it would be mindless, chaotic, stupid, brutal death metal noise. And to an extent, it still very much is that. But also, there are enough great riffs and enough heavy, fun, energetic, satisfying moments to keep the brutal death metal and death grind and gore grind sickos invested and excited. And it does everything that it wants to do, everything that it's expected to do, and like by this genre's standards, it is fairly well made, I suppose. So yeah, live and let live. I enjoyed it, warts and all. Semi-enthusiastic 3 out of 5. I guess I'm sticking by that. Fuck it, I guess I am. Yeah. Fuck it. Whatever. Alright, so while I have your attention, the Metal Meltdown is doing a Marvel Rivals Capes for Kids charity live stream February 26th. We're raising money for the Capes for Kids Foundation, which benefits the Holland Bloorview Kids Rehabilitation Hospital and Center here in Toronto, Ontario, which benefits neurodivergent and disabled children. Great cause, great charity. I kind of thought about doing this last year, and I just didn't. So now I am doing it. So yeah, you can donate directly to the cause via a link in the description of this video, and you can also donate during the Marvel Rivals live stream, which I will be doing to promote this. And don't worry, even though it's a charity stream, it's still gonna be goofy, it's still gonna be silly, it's not a drinking game, but I'm definitely still gonna drink. Pop on by, say hello, donate if you can. Boom, other videos, subscribe, and as always, you have yourself a fantastic fucking day. Cheers. God, this shit is delicious. Smooth like maple syrup.